for sure. So checking that out. And we'll get started here in a second. All right, we are live. We are live not only here in our Zoom room, but we are live simulcasting to social media. Good morning, everyone. This is Reverend Dr. Cause and Effect, Reverend Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna, coming at you from Unity Prosperity Ocean International on this Sunday morning, August 17th, here with Reverend Danae Kosmyna and the gang here in our Zoom room. Hey, look for our newsletter on social media, right on the Facebook page. Sign up to receive it. You can get instructions for how you too can join us behind the curtain, so to speak, right here on Zoom. We want to welcome all of you in, whether you're looking in on Facebook, whether you're looking in on YouTube, or through the lens of another ministry that might be sharing this message. Thank you all for being here today. We're here every week at 9 a.m. Central Time, except for when we're live and in person, then we delay it 1 hour to give everybody a chance to come into town and have fellowship with us in person. So welcome everybody here. Good to see you all in the house. We have the Herds in the house. We have Walker and Sandy and John and Roseanne and JJ and Joanna and Reverend Tanae in the house. And Sharon was here. But anyway, we're all here and we are ready to go today. We're going to kick it off. Tanae has been given a little bit of a break by me to rest her vocal cords and to just go. That's what I invite all of you to do today. As we start off with our daily word today, it's our namesake. What does that mean? Well, the word for today is prosperity. When I started this ministry back in 2015, I wanted to focus on the teachings and the thoughts and the principles of prosperity. So I named it Unity Prosperity Ocean, kind of a spiritual sister to our for-profit company, Success Ocean International. So this is Unity Prosperity Ocean International. Just a little background on that. And I was doing Zoom and video messages before it was cool, before the pandemic, 5 years before that. Anyway, prosperity. I invite you to allow these words to be the words of your heart as I share our daily word for today, prosperity. Our affirmation, pay attention because we're going to do it 3 times, just like Danae does. My prosperity is unlimited. I claim my good now. My prosperity is unlimited. I claim my good now. My prosperity is unlimited. I claim my good now. That's how we do it, over and over again with feeling and emotion. After King Darius called and unbitten Daniel from the lion's den, the king wrote to other nations to praise the divine power that delivered this Hebrew prophet by taming hungry beasts. Overcome by divine goodness, Darius prayed for abundant prosperity among the people of the ancient world. Today, the lions I face may be rising prices when shopping and greater costs for basic needs. Even in that den of apparent lack, my prosperity is unlimited. In prayer, I claim my good, grateful to live in an abundant universe. I pray that cooperative interaction with others who are seeking their own prosperity brings an end to poverty and establishes world peace. I claim prosperity for myself and all others. And from the book of Daniel, chapter 6, verse 25, then King Darius wrote to all peoples and nations of every language throughout the whole world, may you have abundant prosperity. And let's give that powerful affirmation one more time. Let's state that. My prosperity is unlimited. I claim my good now. All right. We are live. We are here. We are going. And I wanted to monitor that, but I can't see it today. Maybe you can monitor any comments that come in. And here we are. Well, welcome in, everybody. I'm glad to see those of you that we didn't see in person, like Joanna. Walker was online with us, but it was a little bit tricky when we navigate all the technology and meet in person too. If you weren't here with us when we met in person, we had some booklets out that we had ordered in for everybody. So those of you that are out of town, those got placed in the mail today. So you should have those in the next week or so, depending on what country you're in. So we got some goodies coming to you. And you know, the more I thought about last week's message, the more I just, because I mentioned last week that I always tiptoed around the power of will, because it's like one of those elusive kind of things that it's not real tangible, hard to put a nice pretty bow on it like we can do with the power of love or the power of wisdom, something a little bit more concrete that we can wrap our human mind around and our human perspective around. But will seemed, well, for me anyway, one of those intangible things that, was always talked about in the context. Well, there's the will of God, and then there's my will. My will is no good. God's will is. You know, so you get reinforced with that duality, and it's not about duality. It's about oneness. When we come at all of this, when we come at truth from the perspective of having that new thought that is transformative in us. So I was thinking about this. Well, really, to address that, we talked about it a little bit last week, and we were talking a little bit about what is the will of God, and really, the will of God and our will should always be one and the same, because the will of God for our lives is the will of good, right? And we could also say, since we read in John, God is love, love is God, one and the same, right? So we could say, whenever we're confused, in this, what is the will of love? What is the will of good? What do I want in my life? I want good. So when we look at it through that lens, the will of God, the will that we truly want from our higher self, from the Christ of God we are, from that Christ in us, is really the will of good and the will of love. So I'm going to just call this one today part 2, choosing to align with the divine I am through the power of the will, part 2, as we go a little bit deeper and talk more about what's beyond that when we align with our divine identity. Today, I want to talk about discovering and directing our divine will toward our deepest passions. What are we passionate about? And the longings of our soul, beyond simply aligning with our divine identity, which is what we focused on last week. We want to go beyond this into fully living the life of our dreams. So, good morning again, and let's just take a moment to breathe deeply into this moment, closing your outer eyes right now, if it's comfortable and safe for you to do so, wherever you may be. Just feel your feet grounded to this holy earth. And let your awareness drop from the noise of the outer world into the peace of your heart. And then with each inhale, silently affirm, I am open. And with each exhale, I am willing. I am open. I am willing. So today's message is an invitation really to live fully in the consciousness of be or being, not just doing or having. We talked on that last week as well. Be, to truly choose to be, and consciously choosing who you will be every moment, utilizing and through this spiritual power of the will. So just a real brief recap for some of you that weren't here last week. We explored the will as the neutral gatekeeper, the gatekeeper of thought, a faculty of mind, and also a spiritual power. So it's one of those super powers, right? It's a faculty that decides what enters and stays in our consciousness. We saw how when our will is in alignment with the divine I am, the presence and power of God within us, it opens the gates to thoughts that support our highest good and keeps out those that diminish our awareness and our true nature. So I just was checking to make sure we're all muted there. So today we're going deeper. We're going to give our will clearer, richer, and more soul-satisfying instructions. How does that sound? If the will is the executive faculty of the mind, then we must provide it with clear job description, some specific instructions, not only to keep us aligned with our divine identity, but also to move us toward what makes our heart sing. It's okay to have desires and to move to that place of longing and discontent and identify what those desires are that would satisfy all of that, and then desire that greater good in our life experience. Remember, we talked about last week the executive faculty that the will is. Charles Fillmore says, the will is the executive faculty of the mind. What man wills or decrees comes to pass in his or her experience. This means that our will is the one who says yes or no to every thought, idea, or impulse. It's the director of the play of our life, deciding which actors, in this case, thoughts and beliefs, get to walk on the stage and speak their lines. And here's the truth. If the director has no vision for the play, the actors, what are they going to, they're going to ad lib, right? They'll ad lib whatever they want. The result is chaos. Our will, when unfocused, lets in all the random chatter of the world, the endless scripts written by fear, by lack, by limitation. But when our will is aligned with God, with good, with love, with the desires and passions of our heart, which are perhaps what we were placed here to be and experience in the first place, it receives its cues from the infinite wisdom of the divine. And it directs the entire performance of our life in harmony with that higher vision. So let's not forget, too, we talked about this just a little bit, but I have to reinforce it. Order. We talk more about order in the month of September, but you know, these powers and these faculties of mind, they don't work independently all on their own. We have the order. You know, order is heaven's first law. We've heard that many, many times from some of our master teachers and way showers. And the order here is always be, do, have. And we talked about how so many of us reverse the order of life, thinking once I have what I want, then I'll do what I love, and then I'll be happy. That's mixed up order. It doesn't work like that. Metaphysically, it works the other way. Be, do, have. Now, once I have, then I'll do, and then maybe I'll be. Who we are being in consciousness comes first. From that beingness flows the inspired action, the doing. And from that action, the having naturally follows. And it doesn't matter what this is, tangible or intangible. So the first question for your will is, and this is giving it a directive, instructions, who will I choose to be? Who will I choose to be? And I can't stress enough, the key word here is choose. You get to make a choice. Who will I choose to be? And I invite you to really open up and look at this. Oh, I'm getting a little 𝗬𝘂𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗃 fly here. Think about this in every area of your life. Who will I choose to be? Will I choose to be whole and healthy and complete and vibrantly alive? Who will I choose to be financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically? Look at every area of your life. And who will I choose to be right here and now? Not who will I try to be tomorrow? Not who will I wish I could be if things were different? But who will I choose to be right now in this moment and stand in that power? It is so now, right now, in this moment. And what we want to do is we want to align our will with passion. This is what we didn't talk about too much last week. I don't think we touched on this at all. I mean, we talked about maybe going further. Once you choose to be in alignment with the divine, grounded in love, grounded in faith, abundance, joy, choosing that godness, choosing to live from that higher self, choosing to live from whatever you may call it in your life, the Christ of God within. You can then give your will even more specific directions to move toward what you are truly passionate about. This is the seeking first, the kingdom. Hang on one second. Okay. So this is where the passion test, you may have heard me talk about this before. This is where the passion test comes in. The passion test. It's a book by Janet Bray Atwood and Chris Atwood. And they teach, when you are clear on your top passions, the things that matter most to you, and you align your choices with them, your life becomes an ongoing expression of joy and purpose. I love this little, well, I call it a little book, but it's a pretty beefy book, but it's all about identifying what your soul is passionate about, what you are passionate about at the deepest level. You know, sometimes I think we know, and we don't. A lot of times when we talk about what we're passionate about, we're thinking about, well, we moved to the have. I'd really love to have the house on the beach, or this, we like to have that, or this much money in the bank account. I mean, it's true, those are the desires of our heart. But when I went through the passion test, and you can find this book out there, you can probably get a used copy for really, really cheap. And if you can't find it, you know, write to me. I have a, you know, you're not supposed to just give it away because people write books for a reason. But when I went through it, it helped me to determine some of the other things that I have to have in place in my life. And I started writing them out in the affirmative tense. And they had nothing to do with where I wanted to, well, I shouldn't say what I wanted to have necessarily physically. Some of the passion things that are included with this statement that I wrote, and this declaration, this decree I wrote, was having big bodies of water closer, very, very nearby. I had to experience water every day of my life. That's why since I've been ordained, I lived on an island or pretty doggone close to big bodies of water, whether it was the Great Lakes in Michigan or Tampa Bay or here on the Gulf of America or Mexico or whatever you want to call it, where the island where we live right now, living on an island, I have to have water, big water in my life. The other part that I identified as for passion was music, having the involvement of music in and around my life and everything I do. So that had to be worked into the desires of my heart that would make my soul feel more alive and more complete, to feel that I was expressing at the highest level of joy and purpose. Now, Charles Fillmore's definition tells us that the will carries out the edicts of the I am. But how will your I am express itself uniquely through you? What soul longing or dream is, I guess, what's the longing of our soul? When we look at and identify the longing of our soul or the dreams that we have, what is it seeking to bring forth? How is the I am seeking to bring forth more into this life experience? Because I really feel that's our divine calling. We're here. We can look at ourselves as God pressing out into visibility to express more from the highest sense of self that we can possibly identify with. And so without passion, our will can become dutiful. It'll still be the gatekeeper, but really uninspired. So we have to inspire the will. And that's where the passion test comes in, because we're helping to identify the why do we want what we want? And going back further, okay, I think I want this, but what's behind that? What is really the why behind that? Why do I want? Is that what I think I want? Is that really what I want to experience? So when we identify all this with passion, our will becomes a laser focus force for manifestation. It gets it. Here's what this soul is passionate about. Here's what this soul has to experience in this incarnation. My job is important now as the will and the gatekeeper. I have to assist in fulfilling this purposeful mission, what this soul is passionate about. So I am going to stand in my power as the will directed from on high. So let me just give you a few exercises to identify some of your top passions. But I really, encourage you to get the book and go with it. But this week, just take a look at a few of these things. And so right now, I invite you into a sacred practice, so to speak, to spend some time in the silence specifically to do these things with your journal or some paper to write on nearby, and ask yourself, when my life is ideal, I am, and then complete the sentence at least 10 different ways. When my life is ideal, I am. Next one is, let me see if I can put these in the chat, and then maybe Tanae can put them on Facebook as well. I'll put these in the chat here. Okay. So the next one would be, what am I doing in this vision? What am I doing in this vision? Who am I with? What's surrounding me? What experience makes me feel most alive? What, if missing from my life, would leave me feeling a deep ache of incompleteness? So here you have some real good questions. They're in the chat. Just click. If you don't know how to access that, just go to the little bubble, should be on the bottom of your screen. There's some little thought bubbles and it says chat underneath that. And if you click that, and this is for those of you on Zoom, it'll open a sidebar panel that has these questions in it. And if that still doesn't work for you, Reverend Tanae has copied those and placed them underneath this talk on our social media page on Facebook. So you have them, all right? Real good questions to spend some time within the silence. You don't have to do them all at once. I mean, just ease into it and maybe take one each day. When my life is ideal, I am, and complete that. What am I doing in this vision? Who am I with? What's surrounding me? What experiences make me feel most alive? And don't do this from a place of, here's the answer, but I'm just going to cross that out because I don't know how that could possibly happen, especially with what I'm going through now. Don't come from that place. Come from that place of expansion. Come from that place of being unlimited. Come from that place of the soul as an infinite, eternal entity. So from your answers that you do, and just keep doing it until you feel complete and that you feel that you've expressed this. From your answers, identify your top 5 passions. Like mine was music and big water and chocolate chip cookies. Now, I'm just seeing if you're paying attention, just if you're paying attention. But just identify your top 5 passions, whatever they be, you know, this is how I really feel that I moved Tanae into my life, by identifying these things. And just go through this and spend some time. You don't have to rush through it, but just keep asking and going back up. Because some people say, well, I really want this, but then they identify, well, this really represents this thing behind it, so we can go deeper. You know, the man might, how did I learn? The man might, well, is it the will of God because I desire my neighbor's wife? And it's like, well, no, because that's not really what you desire. This is just a terrible example I remember from ministerial school. That's not what this man's desire was. It represents what he saw his neighbor, the married couple, the loving married couple experiencing. He wanted that experience of a deep, loving relationship. So that's what I mean by going deeper, going back of it, going to the why. Well, what is it that's really represented here? So just to give you some clarity there. So we want to identify our top five passions. When you get still, and you're doing this, that's why I call, do your meditation, but practice the stillness and practice this and do this in the quiet time. Because when you get still, you can hear the deeper voice. You can hear the voice of good, the voice of love, the voice of God, the one God placed in you from the beginning, designed to be what God intended you to be, to become in alignment with the divine I am. And then this is where you ask yourself, what am I truly passionate about? What must be present in my life for me to feel fully alive? These are the real questions we want answers to. What am I truly passionate about? What must be present in my life for me to feel fully alive? What experience would make me wake up each morning in a state of joy? I'm going to put these in the chat as well. Okay, those are in the chat as well. So now we're going to look at this. I think you're getting to a place of clarity here. We're going to go look at the will, power of the will we've been talking about, plus passion, and how that equals alignment. Because we're called to express this higher purpose, the purpose of our soul. When your will is aligned with both your divine identity, which is why we did that work last week talking about the importance of this, that's the certain way of seek ye first the kingdom. and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. What things? All these things we talk about when we're identifying the passion and the purpose of our soul. So when your will is aligned with both your divine identity and your clear passions, you create this powerful flow. Your will stops being just a guard at the gate. It becomes a guide, a champion, a force that says, we know where we're going and nothing is going to stop us. You know, without it, that will at the gate is just that. You can think of those slapstick movies. There's a guy at the gate scratching his head. Well, they didn't tell me if you could go in or if you could go in. I can let anybody in, but they just want me standing here guarding the gate. Go on ahead. Well, we want to get this in alignment with our purpose, our passion, our divine identity. Hopefully, I'm communicating this in such a way that you can feel how this will then comes alive for you and becomes such a powerful force to guide you in your life. Because before getting the understanding to all this, we work with the affirmations and we didn't really maybe grasp what's happening inside of us and this directive we're giving to the will. We'd hear the instructions from many, many prosperity teachers, like, you don't have to know how, you have to identify what. But what were we doing back of that? We're giving the will instructions. We're cementing the purpose of our soul in our subconscious mind. And it's constantly working with the will. No, we're not letting that in. And what gets let in becomes a very critical element of the how. No, we're not letting that in because that's taking you off course. That is not supportive of the soul's longing and desire. So this is so important to get the will just past being a guard and getting, man, a real important champion for what we want to experience in our life, a real powerful force. I know a woman who spent 20 years in a corporate career she did not love. She was good at her job, but every day she felt something missing. Now, one day in a retreat, like what we're doing, like in small right now, kind of describing what goes on in some of these soul purpose retreats, she realized her top passion was really to teach art to children. Had nothing to do with her career. Within a year after this identification, she had transitioned into running her own creative learning center. Her will, once focused on surviving the corporate grind every day, became focused on creating a vibrant, joyful learning space for young artists. The moment she gave her will those new instructions, everything shifted. Doors opened, the right people appeared, resources came. She had been living as a dutiful doer. Now she was living as a passionate beer. Get it? And even in the Bible, we can see this too. Think of Nehemiah, who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. His passion was so strong that even when the enemies mocked him and tried to distract him, he said, I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. His will was fixed on his divine assignment and nothing could sway him. So this is all about giving your will its script. So you have some work to do here. Your will does not know whether to open the gate for thoughts of I can or I can't unless you tell it. It doesn't automatically know whether to keep you in alignment with what excites your soul unless you define what that is. when you're clear about your passions, your will can filter out distractions and pull you toward what matters most. Everybody thinks they have to rely solely on willpower. But when we give it instructions in advance, after careful identification of what these desires are, it'll do the work effortlessly, seemingly effortlessly. But without that clarity, you risk using your will to persist in habits, in relationships, or jobs that don't bring you or make you feel alive. And remember, the how is not your job. Many people block their passions when they're doing this work and some of these exercises like we put in the chat here. They block their passions because they can't see how they will be fulfilled. I've wanted this all my life. I've wanted this, but I don't know how, so I'm just going to abandon it, or life has passed me by. I don't care if you're 1 or 100. If you have some longing and discontent and desire of your heart, there's a way that it can be expressed right here and now. The how belongs to God. Again and again, you'll hear from me, because this is what I have built my ministry on. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom, and all these things shall be added unto you. And now the will that I have been avoiding for so long plays such a powerful point in all of this. Seeking the kingdom means aligning with your divine nature first, living from your divine identity, and trusting that the path to your passion will be revealed. Your role is to choose your beingness, define your passions, and persist in holding them in consciousness. God's role is to orchestrate the details. So persistence is so important, and demonstration, right? Fillmore reminds us, one must be very persistent, since persistence is essential to demonstration. Demonstration meaning for the experience of it. Once your will is aligned with your passions, persistence keeps you from giving up when outer results are slow to appear. How often do we say that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence? Things are going on that are not apparent to the senses. Persistence says, no, this is who I am. This is what matters to me. This is what I choose to experience, and I will keep choosing it until the word becomes flesh. All right, I'm running out of time here. The application for this week: be in the silence. Set aside 15 minutes daily to connect with the divine I am within you. Identify passions. Write up your top 5 passions using the when my life is ideal, I am. So, but don't get stuck in that tense, all right? Because you're going to build out of that, you're going to build I am statements, bringing it fully into the present moment. But write them out first, when my life is ideal. This is helping with the identification process. Number 3, and I put all this in the chat, direct your will. Consciously choose thoughts, choose the words that you speak, and the actions that you take that align with those passions. Number 4, release the how. Let it go. Turn over the details to spirit, affirming, I am aligned with my divine nature and my deepest passions. The way is made clear. All right, here's some closing affirmations for you. I'll put these in the chat as well. I am one with the divine I am. My will is aligned with my passions and my purpose. I persist in choosing thoughts, words, and actions that bring my dreams to life. I live from the joy of being who I am called to be. Wow, these are all so powerful. I encourage you over and over and over again to take from this talk, from this message today, what you most identify with. Build it out to make it personal to you and your experience. And over again, I am one with the divine I am. The will is aligned with my passions and my purpose. And state what those are. Persist in choosing thoughts, words, and actions that bring my dreams to life. I live from the joy of being who I am called to be. All right, let's move into a brief meditation here. And I encourage you to come back and visit this recording later. I really like this one here today. Let's put on some music in the background here. All right, hopefully, give me a thumbs up. You hear a little music there tonight? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. So let's just take a deep breath and get centered. Closing your outer eyes if it's safe to do so. Taking a few deep breaths, letting it out slowly. Feeling your chair, your seat supporting you. Just become aware of the air surrounding you. Be aware of the heartbeat within you. And then silently affirm with me, I am willing. I am open. I am aligned. I am willing. I am open. I am aligned. And imagine standing at a beautiful gate. This gate is your will. On one side are thoughts, ideas, and possibilities. Some aligned with your dreams, some not. You, as the gatekeeper, have the power to choose what enters. Now in your heart, see your top passions written in light. Let each one rise before you. When my life is ideal, I am. Name it. When my life is ideal, I am. And complete these sentences, these statements, these decrees in your time to do this work. And go through them all. And go through them daily. Feel the joy of each one as if it is already so. Let your will step forward and decree. only thoughts, actions, and opportunities that serve my passions and my divine nature may enter here. Only thoughts, actions, and opportunities that serve my passions and my divine nature may enter here. And rest in this awareness. Trust the how to God. And when you are ready, gently and slowly bring your awareness back to this time and place and return to this present moment here with each other with gratitude. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. That is going to do it for our Sunday morning message here at Unity Prosperity Ocean International. I encourage you all to stay here that are with me and Reverend Tanae here on Zoom to stay with us for a few moments, and we'll visit and have some fellowship. For now, I want to say farewell to all of you looking in on social media, wherever you may be looking in from. Thank you so much for joining us in this message. We encourage you to reach out to either one of us, reach out to this ministry or to reach out to us personally. If you would like some help moving into living a life on purpose, fueled by your passions and your desires, seeking first the kingdom, and then moving all that you hope your life to be. For now, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in each and every one of you. This is Reverend Dr. Stephen J. Kosmyna, along with Reverend Tanae K. Kosmyna, wishing you an infinitely spectacular day. We'll see you next week, 9 a.m. Central Time. God bless you.